Full disclosure, Breitbart is conservative. It doesn't like Joe Biden at all. So people thinking about buying your book, you're coming at it from a point of view that this man is not good for the country. However, I read a lot of the book. It's a big book. And you document what you say pretty thoroughly. So it's not some screed. And I wondered, based upon what you know, Alex, if you agree with me that Joe Biden is not going to be the nominee in 24.
Hi, Bill. Thank you so much for having me again. Thanks a lot. It's really a pleasure to talk to you. Congrats on killing the witches. I thought your interview with Tucker was some of the best news content I've seen the whole year. So very great stuff. And I felt pretty inspired as an independent media guy myself. It feels good to be in company like yours. I think he's going to be the nominee. I think he's going to be the nominee overall. And the reason why is because he's wanted this his whole life. This goes back to before I could even find documentation, and thanks for noting how thorough I tried to be. There's very few greed, rage, none of that's in the book. All the book is backed up with fact after fact, 1,600 citations and all. I want any political stripe to be able to pick it up and to get something out of the book, some entertainment value, some knowledge. Obviously, I have a perspective. I'm happy to share that, but that was not really the point of the book. The point was to take Joe Biden seriously and dive into his life, what motivates him, et cetera. And he's wanted to be president since he was a boy. And this has been repeated. He doesn't just want to be president. He wants to have a dynasty. He wants to be able to, that's why he bought a 10,000 square foot house, former DuPont mansion in Delaware. He eventually got out of it when he got a deal that was way above market rate from a bank executive who I believe had a vested interest in getting Joe Biden that money. But that was his plan. And that got upended when Beau Biden died of cancer, brain cancer, which was really tragic and tough to go through and learn all about. But overall, he's wanted this so bad, and he's made the moves to stabilize his base support, particularly the Democrat left, which is how he moved from sort of working class lunch bucket Joe to left wing guy. It's all about keeping that base engaged, which he's proven he's pretty adroit at doing it. And so the question is, who steps in his place? It's not going to be Pete Buttigieg or Kamala Harris this time. So who's out there? Maybe Gavin Newsom, but it seems like Gavin might be angling for being that heir to Biden, not necessarily taking over from him during this term right away. It should have been Beau, and Beau's not here.
Okay, but look, I had a mother who had significant mental problems at the end of her life. And I saw how fast she went down. I'm saying the exact same thing with Joe Biden. 13 months away, the election. He's not going to get any better, Alex. He's going to get worse and worse and worse and worse. So right now, the polls say 40% of Americans still would vote for him. And these are mostly, as you pointed out, devoted liberals. A lot of them depended on the government to give them money and stuff like that, which Biden, of course, will do. But I don't believe, and I know the Democratic infrastructure wants him out because the Hunter Biden stuff's going to get worse. You may find a link to Joe Biden as far as cash gratuities to the Bidens from their son Hunter.
Yeah, it is definitely going to get worse, especially with the probes going on and a potential impeachment. All of this is going to open up a much more investigation into specifically Hunter, and this is not going to go well for Joe. But to your first point, before I put some more teeth behind what I just said, the one thing about Joe's deteriorating mental health, and I certainly believe he's deteriorating, I pulled insane quotes from Joe throughout the book that he's been delivering his entire life since he was a boy. So he's always said insane things. He's always seemed like he's out of place from time to time. So this has gone on for a long time. It probably accelerated when he had 2 aneurysms in his brain during his first presidential run. And since then, it just seems like he's periodically lost. But he's been that way for a long time. And he's still president and executing way too much of his agenda that I'm comfortable with. But I do think, to your second point, it is going to get much worse for him. I broke a story today that's at Breitbart.com that your audience can check out of Hunter's involvement in the University of Delaware Biden Institute, which was described as Hunter's baby. The thing has been tied to China from the start. It was designed to bag cash for Joe Biden's family and for Joe Biden's friends who would eventually go into an administration. And this stuff is still happening. It's still ongoing. There's been no interest in digging into these things, even though they're literally called Hunter's baby. We don't have any answers as to Hunter's stake that he retains in a company known by Xi Jinping as the Dragonhead, which is a Chinese shipping conglomerate. We know that Hunter was involved, but he still retains an equity stake as far as I can tell. We're going to get that information eventually if you're allowed to investigate long enough.
Okay, so look, I mean, it's just a matter of opinion, but I'm going to stand by my opinion. He's not going to be the nominee.